This is super interesting. Job satisfaction in the United States has hit a 36-year high as of 2022 based on recent surveys or recent analysis as is being reported on by the Wall Street Journal. And I want to look at this because there's a lot of work to be done. We want to continue trying to improve the well-being and the satisfaction of the American worker. One of the ways we do that is look at variables at play here. Why are workers more satisfied now than they were previously? And then take that and use it to try to make it even better moving forward. So here's this, like I said, from the Wall Street Journal. Job satisfaction hit a 36-year high in 2022, reflecting two effects of the tight pandemic labor market. The quality of jobs improved as wages and work flexibility increased, and workers moved into positions that were a better fit. Last year, 62.3% of U.S. workers said they were satisfied with their jobs, according to new data from the Conference Board, up from 60.2% in 2021 and 56.8% in 2020. The Business Research Organization polled workers on 26 aspects of work and found that people were most content with their commutes, their coworkers, the physical environment of their workplace, and job security. Among the happiest workers were people who voluntarily switched jobs during the pandemic and individuals working in hybrid roles with a mix of in-person and remote work. Men's satisfaction was higher than women's in every component, especially in areas such as leave policies, bonus plans, promotions, communication, and organizational culture. So super interesting stuff. And as you look at why this is, flexibility increase, workers moved in positions they were better fit for, and that tight pandemic labor market, you start getting what may be the takeaways from this. If we can focus in on why people feel more satisfied now, it has to do with, of course, obvious things like better flexibility, better commutes, better benefits, better wages, of course, all the obvious things. Okay, so then how do we, because we can't always depend on a tight labor market like we currently have, or at least we need to see if we can force that into existence more often, plus do other things to replicate some of these realities, then how do we do that? And I think it comes down to worker power and then job creation. So with worker power, if we can continue to push for unionization and giving workers more power, more say and control in their workplace, then they will be able to, regardless of the exact specifics of the labor market and some of these things that the pandemic caused, they can demand improvements to the workplace, as has happened sort of organically in recent years because of some of the things that the pandemic caused. But in any time, if you have more control in your workplace and you have the backing of a more powerful, larger organization such as a union, then you can demand better wages. You can demand more flexibility, more benefits, better leave policy, etc. And so that's one of those ways to up satisfaction despite the economic reality that you're currently in. And then the second being job creation, try to force a tight labor market, try to force more power into the hands of workers by making a whole lot of jobs so that employers are in a position of trying to get workers, trying to convince them to work for their company rather than so few jobs available for workers that they'll take whatever they can get. And that's one of the things that we saw during the pandemic, a really tight labor market. Employers were out trying to get workers, so they were upping their wages and they were bettering their benefits and all of it. And that's what you want to see. And as we've seen historically, the way you do job creation the most effectively is definitely, even though Democrats also fail often, when looking at the two parties, Democrats have a much better record on unemployment, on job creation, on all these economic metrics over the last 100 years. Democratic governance has absolutely, undeniably yielded better outcomes on the economic front. And so the takeaway from that is that demand side, worker-based, bottom-up investment strategy of economic spending and putting into communities that need it cash, and then that absolutely creates jobs, puts the money where it needs to be, rather than the opposite, which is the trickle down, the supply side. Let's give a bunch of money to wealthy individuals and large corporations and hope they create jobs, and often that's not exactly how it goes. So better unions, stronger unions, more power in the hands of workers so they can demand better workplace conditions and try to create the tight labor market by demand side spending, investments in jobs programs, as the Inflation Reduction Act is doing and the American Rescue Plan did, and all these job creating programs that then allow for workers to say, there's plenty of jobs for me, I'll get the right one. And you as an employer have to convince me into this position. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before all the clips are able to be uploaded to the YouTube channel, plus get the bonus show on the weekends, you can do so by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. That's lukebeasleyshow.com/membership, and there's a link in the description.